life is full of challenging moments and can be difficult for everyone. Please ensure to speak to your doctor if you are overwhelmed or struggling. Some of these podcasts are going to talk about things that could trigger different emotions on you, and I do want you to get the help that you need. If you or someone you know is in immediate crisis, in Canada, you can connect to a responder to get help by calling or texting 988. By calling or texting that number, you can speak toll-free to anyone at any time for support. For kids and young adults, there's also the Kids Help phone line, and this is also available. Call 1-800-668-6868. The service is available 24/7. You can also text CONNECT, CONNECT, to 686868. For more support or to find out other local support in your area, go to the Canadian Mental Health Association national site at cmh.ca. Mental health is as important as physical health, and we need to start prioritizing and break the stigma around talking about it. Be sure to look into it and help those you need. We never know the struggle that people are facing. We never know what people are going through. If you are in need of help, please reach out to your doctor or reach out to those numbers provided earlier for help without judgment. Help break the stigma, speak about it, talk about it, and remember, you are worth it, you are loved, and you are needed. Hi, and welcome back to 50s Unscripted. I'm Shelley, and I'm so excited to have you here as I embrace my second act and share my stories from the trenches, my tales, my new adventures, and this season bring in a number of different guests. For today's episode, I just want to remind everybody, I am not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, neither are my guests. So we're here just sharing our lived experiences because that's what 50s Unscripted is about. It's about embracing those unscripted moments that we don't have control over, that happen whether we want them to or not. Some of them are good. Some of them are exciting. For example, the unscripted wedding that I have coming up this summer that was never in the cards for either Dan or myself, but has just transformed. But sometimes they're not the best and they can be difficult. And the intention here is that those unscripted moments happen at any time in life. It's called 50s Unscripted because I'm in my 50s when I started doing this and sharing these stories. But as I've shared, I had things happen in my 20s, my 30s, my 40s. So life is unscripted. Some of the conversations can be difficult. Some of the things we'll talk about can be tough. So if you do need help, please do reach out to someone who can support you, whether it be a therapist, a doctor. There are numbers you can call a family member. But please do reach out and get help because you do matter, and your feelings and your experiences and everything you bring to this life is important. And so I wanted to level set that. And the last thing is with 50s Unscripted, it's not just for women. It's not just for men. It's for anybody, any age, anything. And I am super excited that joining me today is my stepson, Nick. So excited to have you here, Nick.
Yeah, thank you very much. And congrats on the second season, by the way.
Aw, thank you.
Doing very good.
Aw.
Yeah.
Great. I love it.
No worries.
And I'm thrilled that you've agreed to come here. And I'm not even going to try and introduce because there's so much I think that you're tying into today that really talks about embracing that second act and all the chapters that come with it. So I'm going to turn it over to you and let you introduce yourself and talk away.
Yeah. So my name's Nick. I'm 20 years old. I'm currently in school at Sundance College, studying community health and addictions, which is fairly appropriate, I think, as we'll get into.
Yeah, and you're doing fantastic. I am so impressed with what you're doing. Honestly, it's really great how you're dealing with the school stuff and you're getting great grades.
Yeah.
You're really working hard.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about sometimes because there was definitely a time in my life where I didn't see myself going back to college, let alone graduate. And I mean, I don't want to jinx anything, but I'm 6 months or so away from that, and it feels nice. It really does.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
That's good. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's unpack how you ended up deciding to do this course. So where would you like to start? How far back do you want to start?
Yeah, well, just to give it a little background, I struggled with addiction myself in my teens and early 20s. Lucky enough now, I've been clean for 7 years, give or take. And I have found in that time that opening up and being honest with myself was kind of the best thing that I could have done. It's really helped me overcome a lot of things I wasn't sure I'd be able to. So in pursuing this career, I was just kind of hoping to encourage others to do the same, and if there's anything that I have internally that's going to help someone else, then I'd like to get it out, so.
Yeah, and I think that's great. And that's why I love having you on the show today, because that is the point. We're here to share, because you have to find what works best for you, what's sustainable for you. You have to be in that right mindset. You have to be in that. But there's so many things that may or may not work because we're all different and all unique. So by sharing our lived experiences, there might be something somebody hasn't thought of or somebody hasn't done. So
yeah, 100%. And I think just building off of that, there's this interesting time where I feel like I have found something that's going to work, and then X amount of time goes by and all of a sudden I have to adjust it, or it's not quite working the way I was hoping it was going to. And it's definitely a constant battle. And that's great, honestly, because it keeps you on your toes, and
and that's a really great point, because even, like my weight loss journey, it's gone really well.
Yeah.
But the last little bit, there's been a lot of extra stress. There's been a lot of extra strain.
Yeah.
My health has been a little bit wonky thanks to this lovely weather here in Canada right now. And the pain's been a bit much. So I haven't been paying as much attention. So there have been times where I've broken down and I've had, a slice of pizza or something else. And it's remembering that it's not about the missteps, because they're not necessarily missteps. We shouldn't be beating ourselves up about it. It's just, this is life, and it's learning to do everything in moderation, and learning that, okay, this is happening because, becoming more aware and understanding what's happening to us, right? And dealing with that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the things that really helped me in just, this journey of just really rebuilding myself, I think, is I started to notice that, whether it's a relationship, or it's a big test at school, or, a hard day at work, it always seems to feel like this great big, hey, this is the end of the world. It's I have to do this, or it's going to be this. And then there's this time afterwards, no matter what it is, where life goes on and it doesn't stop. And I think it's really helpful to be able to put that in perspective and think about that, because you're gonna get through it. A lot of the time you're gonna get through it and move on to the next stage. And I just think perspective is very important that way. So.
And that ties in so much to some of that emotion feelings therapy and the cognitive behavior therapy there, that
100%.
Dealing with your brain boss, your inner critic, whatever terminology you want to use for it, right? And sometimes we take those moments, those things that happen that set us off, and we make them so much bigger than they really are, and everything else, what was the names? Natalie and I joke about the names and stuff that we talked about in the support group, and it was jumping jack, when you jump to the conclusion, or know it all Nina, how it's all going to play out, or psychic Susie, because you know exactly, if I tell somebody this is what's going to happen, which is never the case, right? And we take these small things and we explode them. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So let's dig a little bit into that. So for yourself, because we've talked about, and I know your dad's told me lots, because he used to take you around to a lot of soccer games.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
So, because there was a lot of stuff that you did when you were younger, right?
Yeah. When we were talking about me coming on the show, I thought, as soon as I saw it, I thought that this would be a good opportunity for me to kind of tell my story and get out there and hopefully, have some people resonate with that. And reason being is that I certainly feel like I have led more than, one life. Growing up, I was pretty successful athlete, played at a pretty high level in soccer. I was about, I don't know, maybe 8 months or so away from a tryout with Team Ontario. And I mean, looking back on it, I'm very thankful and very happy to have gone through that. And yeah, I wouldn't change a thing now. At the time, I really struggled with a lot of internal pressure. I was always harder on myself than anybody else could have been. It had gotten to the point where I was a goalie. I'm not sure if I said that, but it had gotten to the point where even if the team had a great game, even if I had a good game individually and I gave up one goal, I was zeroed in on the goal that I gave up and what I could have done differently. And I think there is part of that mentality that can be really useful and really good. I don't think there's anything wrong, wanting to strive for better and improve things that you need to improve. The part that I struggled with, though, is I didn't really find that balance between, okay, where can we improve and being overly hard on myself.
Yeah.
And I really struggled with that for years, and I was very closed off about it. I talked to my dad about it occasionally, but that was about it.
Yeah.
And eventually I got to the point where, I was training all the time, whether it was practice or working out or playing games. I was pretty much 6 times a week, sometimes 7, right?
Yeah.
And I really struggled with that, and I think it played a big part in me turning to drugs and alcohol. It got to the point where I quit, which is one of the hardest things I'm still dealing with. I'm still trying to learn how to accept it, really, because like for me, I never really got to that point or that level where it was too much, right?
Yeah.
Like I had always been successful, and then all of a sudden, just like that, it's gone. So I turned to drugs and alcohol. My life took a complete 180 very fast, which unfortunately culminated in a suicide attempt and an overdose, which I was lucky enough to get through. As you know, obviously that's not the case for everybody.
No.
And and then that lifestyle went on for, I don't know, a good 5-6 years or so. And then, after I overdosed, that's, it's crazy to say this, but I think it's honestly, and I don't recommend this for anybody, just to be clear. But the way I try to look at it now is, honestly, I think it's the best thing that ever happened to me, because I was genuinely scared. I didn't know what was going to come next. I didn't know if much was going to come next at all. And it woke me up. And I'm pretty proud to say that since that time, I've been clean for 7 years or so. And
Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah.
And we're glad you're here because,
Yeah.
I think you're an awesome guy and whatnot. And there's so much.
Yeah.
But I think that's, it's definitely, it's not what anybody wants to go through, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like, I don't want anybody to ever have to go through a separation.
No, of course.
But in going through that separation, I found who I needed to be.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes we have to make a decision. Sometimes something bad has to happen for us to realize this isn't me or this isn't what I want. So, no, I think that's, it is that wake up call, right? So whether it be that, some people try so hard with sports that they pass out because they're not taking care of their health, right?
100%.
Other people, they just do nothing but work and they don't focus on the other stuff, right? So there's all kinds of vices that we have that are different across all of it. And I guess part of that, like when you're having that, when you talked about how you critiqued yourself, it's that learning the skills so that we learn to reflect, like take a pause, reflect, learn from the moment, but not dwell on it. And that's where the inner critic, because it sounds like you had that inner monologue going 24/7, right? So
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I'm still working on that. That is an everyday battle for me. And yeah, I mean, I'm thankful for the opportunity to go through all of that, though. Like, I think there is a big part of life where, we kind of have to experience it for ourselves, like, having said everything I just went through, like I was lucky enough that I had an amazing support system. My parents, my friends, my coaches, I was very lucky that way. And I still ended up down the path that I ended up, right? So it's like sometimes we just kind of have to see it for ourselves. And yeah, I mean.
yeah, and I think that's a great point, because when you struggle, when you have loved ones who are dealing with these types of things, like as a parent, you can feel very responsible. And it's hard, right? Because like, what else could I have done? What else could I have done differently?
Yeah.
And it is difficult, and it's very frightening, and it's overwhelming, and then you feel like a terrible parent, right?
Yeah.
Because like I've dealt with similar stuff. So, and you wonder, what could I have done differently? How could I have, prevented something, or, how is this my fault? How do you, like, you talked about your support, like the people that were there to support you. So in the moment, you didn't necessarily see how they were there, but like, what was that interaction? Like, how did you figure out who that support team was?
I mean, you just have to, that's a good question. I think for me, like, the biggest thing that really turned it around and allowed me to not take such a selfish view of things was getting to see and feel firsthand, the pain and stuff that something like a suicide attempt or, an overdose had, not just on me, but my family and the people closest to me. And it really opened my eyes. It's not just an individual thing. Everybody feels that, and I mean, I'm lucky enough, like I grew up in two very different households, and I've always been able to kind of draw like the positives from both. I think I said it before and I'll say it again, but my mom and my dad are my heroes, and for two very different reasons, like I was lucky enough, I was able to look up to my dad in an athletic sense, right from day one, like right from my first memory. He's always been that for me. And I just wanted to make him proud, and then on the flip side, seeing my mother, largely be a single mother for most of my childhood and working two jobs, doing everything that she did, dealing with us as just, the kids that we were and all that thing, like it's, I'm just really lucky to be able to draw on those things from them and learn from them, and hopefully make them proud. So.
Yeah. Well, I know you make your dad proud all the time. So that I can guarantee you're doing a good job on that one. And and I think that's great, and that's reassuring. And I'm hoping both your parents are happy to hear that, because as a parent, it is nice to know that your children do appreciate what you're doing, because sometimes, like, it's new. Every child is different, and every experience you go through is different. And as a parent, my experiences impact the type of parent I am each time, right? So depending on the situation you're in, so it's all new and it's all scary at every stage, right?
100%.
So after you went through this, what kind of things did you do to find that balance, to find your way? Like, now that you said, like, it was kind of that wake up call you needed. What were the steps, or what things, because obviously it wasn't a simple process, and it probably took, a couple of chapters to get that organized.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, there's a lot of trial and error, for sure. as I said before, I'm notoriously hard on myself. So in the beginning, I don't even really think I gave myself any credit for it. I think in my head it was as simple as, I got scared. I got to see what that looks like firsthand, and I don't have another choice. But as the years have gone on, you see examples of not necessarily the same thing, but things that you can relate to, or that hold a, like a metaphorical kind of value to you. And there are situations and circumstances where people don't take that next step, and that's very sad and it's very hard. And so that was a big step for me, trying to value myself a little more, for lack of a better term. I've always struggled with that, and it almost felt like, I want to use the word cringy at first.
Yeah.
Like it just like, all these things like affirmations and just taking care of myself, all the daily things, right? Like it was almost foreign to me, and I'm still working on it. But I think once, you get to a point where you can kind of draw power from that, the sky's the limit, right? Like I know it's a cliche or whatever, but it really opens up a lot of doors, And the other thing too, that I found was really helpful for me was looking at, my parents, my family members, and I was lucky enough to have really big family, so lots of different examples, lots of different stories. And I think a strength of mine is being able to, I guess, just sort of like look at their stories and look at what they've been through and try to, emulate that in some way. Like I think, as I mentioned, my mom and I, gonna have to edit that. My mom and my dad are my heroes. Having said that, my siblings as well. Each and every one of them, they've been through their own experiences, and I think that there is a lot positive there. So I try to just be as open as I can and learn as much as I can from everybody else, even if it's somebody I don't agree with on the surface, or we have differences. I do think that there are elements to them that I can learn from, right? And I think it's important to do that. I think it's really hard, especially when you don't necessarily agree with somebody or their point of view or whatever it is at the time. I think it's very helpful to just put it in perspective and say, okay, like where did this come from? What are they trying to get at? And there's a lot of strength that can come from that. So
no, and that's a really great point, because I know when I struggled, because I went through a lot of therapy appointments, right? Like until I could figure out what I needed. So while I was married, I kept going to therapists, and they kept telling me the same thing over and over, and I was just like, I didn't agree with them, because I didn't value me enough. And that whole the cringy, and I'll get in trouble for my kids for using that word, because apparently it's not a word that I should be using. But anyways, that cringy factor, that is 100% my experience with gratitude and affirmation, because I would like tongue in cheek my gratitude and affirmation where it was actually putting me down, not lifting me up. Right. So it is awkward. You feel like an imposter. It's that imposter syndrome, right? That how do you find a way to actually speak kindly to yourself, to forgive yourself and show yourself that grace, because that's the biggest thing, right? We're human. We're perfectly imperfect, right? Like that's it. Like we are not, we're not meant to be perfect, and we're meant to learn, and we're meant to, have struggles, but they're not meant to, but we turn it into something internally that just weighs us down so much, right? And
100%. It's a lesson, not a life sentence,
Exactly. Exactly. So what are some of the, we talked about, like, how did you get back on the path to deciding to go back to school? Like, what kind of led you to that and come to the realization of what you wanted to do there?
Yeah. I think like as a whole, and, relating to going back to school, but just on the sobriety journey as well, like I think getting back to the fundamentals was big for me. And what I mean by that is reintroducing myself to the things that I used to enjoy, because like that's unfortunately when you're in the trenches and going through those kinds of things, sometimes you lose that. And so I really had to look internally and say, okay, like I'm struggling to find joy in a lot of things. So, if I had to rely on something, an activity or, whatever it may be, what would that be? And just, even if it doesn't feel right at first, even if you have, like you said, imposter syndrome or anything of that nature, just kind of, honestly, just slug it out for the first little bit. Fake it till you make it. I love that one. And just, I think, once you kind of get to the point where you're able to rediscover those things that once brought you happiness, brought you fulfillment, brought you joy, I think it takes a lot of the load off and things start to feel a little bit more natural again, you know?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to actually live by the fake it till you make it, and then I found it became no, I am a fake, and it fed into my imposter syndrome. So
it's a hard balance.
Yeah, it's a hard
sure.
balance, and there's a lot of like different concepts, but I do like the idea of fake the confidence in the skills you have.
Yes.
Until you've proven to yourself, kind of thing, right? So it's that same idea of just do it.
Yeah.
It won't be perfect. It's okay. Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. The other
now
thing.
I'm stealing Nike stuff, but whatever. I think it's Nike. Oh crap! Did I just mess that up? No.
It's Nike.
Okay.
Yeah. They're not paying us, by the way.
No.
But,
nobody's paying us, so it's all good.
Yeah. No, for sure. Not necessarily in the sense of like a belonging or anything like that, but just being able to take like that first step, like it's probably going to feel unnatural. It's probably, and like, that's okay. Like we are able to endure that. I know it's not always the same, for everybody. So I don't want to generalize, but what I do want to say is like, I think all of us are capable of a lot more than we realize sometimes, so, just being able to take that first step, I think, is really important.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point, because it's not about always being comfortable. I know, like when your dad came on the podcast, like, he's very introverted. So it was very awkward and uncomfortable for him, but he wanted to do it, and that was great.
Yeah.
So
I was really happy to see him do that. And I think like, him and my mom have very contrasting personalities. So I get like this perfect little blend of like, I feel that way too. I'm a little anxious, a little awkward. But then, with my mom, she's a little more naturally social. So it comes out.
No, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, some of the great stuff there. Right. And I think one of the things I learned, and I've talked about it before. Like I read Atomic Habits last time. I always keep them handy, by James Clear. And one of the things, and it's so funny, not funny, haha, but like just ironic. In reading that, it was like, bring it back to basics. Like who are you as an individual? Like what are your values? What are your beliefs? And then I look at my work life and, doing all these trainings and all these self-awareness courses, and everything's always coming back. What is it that resonates with you? What is it that makes you happy? What are the things that you're not willing to compromise in your work environment, right? And then you look at going through therapy. It's like, what's important to you? So everything always boils down to that internal, like who you are kind of thing, right? And when we look, it comes from all our different interactions. It comes from your parents. It comes from your siblings. It comes from like strangers you meet along the way and people through work and stuff like that, right? So, so it's quite interesting. What type of things did you do from a self-care perspective to help you? Like, I'm assuming, and probably shouldn't assume, but I'm guessing that with an overdose and whatnot, there was like hospital and doctors involved and everything like that. But did you go through therapy? Did you journal? Like what did you find that worked for you?
Yeah. At first I found a lot of things that didn't work for me, to be honest. When I first came back from the hospital, and my dad will attest to this too. I think he was actually the one that said it to me. I felt like a zombie, just trying to process everything, and then the different medications they have you on and all that stuff. And it was, it was interesting. It was tough. And I tried therapy, and it didn't really work for me, to be honest. And I think the best thing that I did to really get the ball rolling was, I had found that there were a lot of things that I talked about internally that I didn't talk about with anybody else. And I had to open myself up to the idea of being vulnerable if I wanted to really make a difference. And there was, there were lots of things that I had to, struggles with addiction, and then, accepting how it went sports-wise. There was my sexuality, all those things I was very closed off about for a long time. And yeah, just being open and discussing that with, the people that matter to you anyways, right? Like, it doesn't really matter who it is, in my opinion. You know, it can be, like, we're all different. It can be somebody you're very close with, somebody you're not close with, whatever works for you. But just allowing myself to be vulnerable really allowed me to get at the things that I needed to get at, right? So that was probably the biggest thing for me. And then, there's lots of everyday stuff. Like I said, fake it till you make it. I decided for myself that, I didn't want to live that lifestyle anymore. But it was hard, like, because your natural tendency, once you've gotten used to doing things a certain way, is to continue doing them that way, right? So I almost had to do the opposite of what I felt like I wanted to do at first, at least to just establish a solid foundation. So, and it looks different for everybody, but, it can be something as simple as getting up and having a shower, right? Or getting up and making breakfast if you skip breakfast, or, getting a little physical activity in, something along those lines, right? Like, it's different for everyone. But just doing those things that seemed almost, how do I word this? I might have to edit this too. Like, seemed like they should be second nature, but they're not anymore, right? That was a big thing. And then just like leaning on whoever you need to at the time, like, I have found, and I know this from the other side of the coin, that, like, I would rather, hear about somebody's struggles and try to help them and take that on, as opposed to, the alternative, right? So just, and I think that goes along with vulnerability as well, but just, using what's around you, and trying to be resourceful.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point. And it's important, because it's not about, like, I think you said it there, it's being there for those people. It's not about solutioning. It's not about fixing them. It's just about being there to hear their story. Being there so that they can be vulnerable, so that they have that moment to just know that somebody's listening to them, right? They'll ask for help if they want help. They'll tell you what it is they need. But I think it is important to remember that it's not always about finding how to fix.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I definitely learned that from being on, like, the other side of it too, because, sometimes you would talk about something, and then, like, whoever you're talking to comes back with something that's, like, overly logical, and it's like, okay, I just kind of want to, get this out, as opposed to necessarily look for a solution. And I still struggle with that on the other side, like, and I think it comes from a good place. You want to help people, but I think even more than, finding a practical solution, it's just allowing people to, get out what's inside that's eating at them, right? So,
And that's a good point, because sometimes you already know what you have to do.
Yeah.
But you just need to say it because you're struggling with it. So somebody, not letting you just get it out and telling you, well, you just need to do this. You're like, yeah, thanks. Now I feel dumb.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I already know that.
Why did I open up to this conversation in the first place?
Yeah. So no, I think that's a great point. And I love the vulnerability, because I think that's a good point. It's when we open ourselves up and when we share this and when we tell somebody, we are becoming very vulnerable. We're admitting that there's something we maybe aren't as good at as
Yeah.
people think, or you're worried about how people will perceive because we worry too much about what everybody thinks about us and,
Yeah, of
and not
course.
what we can control, right? Because
Yeah.
there's only so much that you can control in life.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And it's not like being vulnerable. It's not, it's not a one size fits all solution.
Yeah.
You are going to struggle. There's going to be times where you might even almost regret it. But the thing for me that really worked was I decided that if I was going to make a mistake or if I was going to go through something that was testing or whatever, I was going to do so for the right reasons. And I think that just, being true to yourself, regardless of what's to come, I think it allowed me to, be able to look in the mirror a lot more than on the flip side of that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, that's great. And so, as I lose my train of thought here for a sec,
That's okay. I've done it twice already.
yeah,
so.
I do it lots, so it's all good. This is the joy of getting older, and then of course fibrofog. Oh, I can't even speak now. There we go.
Fibrofog, yeah.
Fibrofog
Yep.
and everything else with it. It's always a tough challenge. And I think this ties into something else we were talking about earlier when we were getting ready to come to the studio today. We talked about the fact that it's, we're calling it like I'm embracing my second act. But if I really look at it, like I've had multiple restarts, right? The script's changed multiple times. So it is kind of that repetitive, like there's always different versions of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Starting like I'm very happy with where I'm at now. And there's lots of positives that come out of that, but it's not to say that it's, the second act or the last act, whatever. Like the other thing that's gone on during that time is I've had some physical complications. I was diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis, and I'm waiting to hear back on what we think might be fibromyalgia as well. So like there are things that are going to come along over the course of that journey that are going to test you, and it's, it's going to freshen things up. And I think like if you can embrace that and just, kind of roll with the punches, it is a positive as well. Like yes, obviously having those physical complications, it sucks, but it stops me from getting complacent, and I think that's really healthy. So
Yeah. I think your dad was having a fun weekend with the two of us between the, I need this pillow and I need that. And like, I think he probably, even though he was not the youngest in the room, he probably felt like the youngest because he was more spry than the both of us combined.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, goodness. And that's actually a great thing because that's one of the things that I find as well, complacency. That is one of my biggest, what's the right word? Crutches that I fall into sometimes, right? So I'll be in a job that I really, really like.
Yep.
And I become complacent with it because then I don't need to look for the next big thing. I don't need to look to continue to learn. I can just do the same thing. But life changes and life grows, and there's always transformation and stuff like that, right? We become complacent with like even some of the things that we know we need to change.
Yeah.
And then we don't make that effort. So it is about embracing those changes and embracing that opportunity that's presented in front of us. And it's not easy. It's definitely not. And there's days where it's like, yeah, forget it. Like I'm not doing any of this, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, it is difficult. Yeah, no. What would be maybe and I don't even know if it's the biggest lesson, but what would be the biggest takeaway from everything that you've experienced so far? Something that really helped you kind of.
I would probably say not taking things for granted. I was really guilty of that early on in my life. Had a good family life. I was relatively successful in school, successful in sports and all those things. And, when you have that experience during your formative years, I think, you kind of just start to think that that's the way it is, and that's the way it is for everybody, right? Because you don't really know any different.
Yeah.
And, as much as experiences were negative on the surface, it opened my eyes, and I was able to replace that ignorance with education and experience and all of those things. So like, I think that's one of the most important things that I learned for myself. It's all about perspective. It's all relative.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And that reminds me of something I saw. Like, I was on LinkedIn the other day, and there was a post, and it was about, showing kindness, because you never know what other people are dealing with,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And I was going through the comments, and people like, oh, we're putting too much into empathy. It's not about empathy. It's about this. It's about clarity. It's about this. But I think you hit the nail on the head here, because it's not about one or the other. It's about the whole package combined. It's about that realization. It's not just about it being inclusive. It's not just about being diverse. It's not just about being empathetic to people. It's not just about being kind. It's about accepting that we are all unique. We are all different.
Yeah.
And you have to have communication with people. You have to be open to sharing those experiences, so that
for sure.
what you said, like learning, being open to continuous learning, being open to that continuous growth.
Yeah.
It's not one and done. Like, there's not one part that's better than the other. You have to have a mix of that, right?
Yeah,
and when you
absolutely.
look at those people who are successful, there's still stuff under the surface that we don't see.
Of course there is. Yeah.
But they generally have some of those skills, a mix of all those skills that are very, very helpful, kind of thing. So I think that's, I like that the fact that it's the perspective and being open to that learning and growing.
Yeah.
So with the course, where are you hoping to go from there?
Long term, I'm hoping to become a licensed counselor. We'll see. It's a certificate program, so once I graduate, it's more so just going to be working in the field, which I'm excited for and scared, but it's natural.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would like to be able to do that. I'm not 100% sure on all the details, whether that's going to be like one-on-one counseling, group counseling.
Yeah.
I think I'm just gonna kind of play that by ear as I go, right?
Yeah.
I think the experience will have a good way of showing me where I'm supposed to be. So
Yeah.
But I would like to get into counseling in some capacity, because I do think that I do think there's a real power in being able to talk about those things that we don't normally talk about, right? And like I said, if I can help in any way to help unlock that for someone else, I had somebody that, not necessarily somebody, but somebody and experiences that allowed me to be able to do that. So I'd like to pass that on at some point.
Yeah. Finding a way to just be there for others. That's great. And I do see that with you, because like, you've always been able to sit and listen to people and whatnot. And even with like my girls, like they'll start talking and it's like, wow, holy crap, kind of thing, like just very naturally and easy and whatnot. So that is great.
Yeah. I try my best. Like I said, there was a lot of things growing up that I don't necessarily want to say hid, but I just didn't shed a light on, right? And it did a lot of damage. Didn't really realize it at the time. And there's probably still more left for me to uncover, but I have found it really, really helpful to get that out there now. So.
And that's another good point, because like, we're always learning, right? So even when, and I said it a little earlier, like, we can make change and everything will be good and we're successful, but it doesn't mean there's not more change that has to happen, or that there's not going to be another challenge that's going to tweak that. So being open to the fact that it's not one and done, right? Like, we're always going to be growing and learning because we learn new things. And I'm going to get it wrong, but Maya Angelou has the best quote, you do your best until you know better, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I love her quotes. And I'm slowly reading one of her books, audiobooks, but I gotta get the actual physical book. I'm not as good with the audiobooks.
It really helps. It really helps to have the physical copy. I can't do the.
Yeah.
It's all right if I'm like in the car or something.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
But I think that's the best line. It's right. Like, you do the best you can until you learn, and then you do better, right?
Absolutely.
You have to be willing to acknowledge the fact that sometimes you have to change. Sometimes what you were taught and what you were told, it's not right. and there is a better way to do it, or there is a more inclusive way to do it, or there is a healthier way to do it, right?
100%. Yeah.
And we have to adapt to that and whatnot. Is there any advice or any recommendations that you'd give to anybody who is struggling right now, who maybe
question.
hasn't found that way to talk?
Yeah. I mean, just be honest and gentle with yourself, like we all have struggles. And that's not, I'm not saying that in a way to, invalidate what someone is going through. But I'm saying it in a sense of, there's probably more people out there that can relate to what you're going through than you think, right? And so I would just say, like, take it as it comes. There's absolutely nothing wrong with just surviving the day. If that's all you can muster up at that time, that's fine. We've all had those days. I've had them. I'll have them again. And it's a real battle. Like, don't let anybody belittle you or, like I said, invalidate what you're going through. It's just do your best, regardless of what that looks like, and it's gonna look different day to day, and that's all right. That's I think that's part of the journey. So yeah, just do that, and don't be afraid to reach out. Like, there is a lot of stigma around mental health struggles and that kind of thing. There is in many different aspects in life, there is a way that society kind of tells you that you're supposed to do things, and you have to find what works for you, regardless of what other people are doing.
Yeah.
So just try to lean into that, and just take it as it comes and do your best. That's all we can do, really.
No. And I think that those are just like great points. It is like, sometimes your gratitude is, I made it. Like, I made it through the day.
Yeah.
And I'll be here tomorrow.
Exactly.
Right? Sometimes that's just the gratitude.
Exactly.
And, I am enough. If that's all you have to say to yourself for that affirmation each morning, I am enough. I can do this. Right? Like, that's kind of, start small. Don't overcomplicate it. You're not looking to boil the ocean in one fell swoop.
Yeah, you don't have to change the world in a day. It's it's enough to just give yourself another chance at it, right? Like, that's
and I think that's one of the things as well, when you talk about when people invalidate you. Everybody has a different experience. Everybody has a different thing, and sometimes people are in our lives for different reasons, and it's not always easy. And sometimes they can be family, they can be loved ones, they can be friends, they can be coworkers, and they're meant to be in your life for a certain period of time, but they're not necessarily there for the whole time, right? Because they no longer fit that story, and it's scary and it's daunting, but you have to do what's best for you at all times, and just as you've repeated more than once, be grateful for the experience, learn from it, and take it on from there. Because I know there are people who, like, especially when I got, like, with health issues, right? They had no concept. And the comments were like, well, you just go get exercise, just go to bed earlier, go to this. Well, I can't sleep. I know. It's not about going to bed earlier, because I'm in bed and I'm in pain now because, my body's just fighting me, right? So it's like trying to get people to understand. It's like, I want to sleep. I wake up from the pain, right? Like, I roll over and I wake up. And I know you can relate to that, because we were talking about it just this morning.
I was lucky enough it was better last night, but the night before it was brutal. So I know what you mean. Yeah, and I think there's a lesson in there for people too. Is just like, I think some people, and I've been guilty of this, and probably will again at some point. But like, just trust people and what they say. You know what I mean? Because I think, like, on that topic specifically, what you see on the outside is, somebody that's staying up till 4 or 5 or whatever time in the morning, and I think it's natural to be like, oh, what are they doing? But there's a lot of stuff you don't see under the surface, right? Like, I'm on that topic specifically, like, I'm in bed at a decent time, and I'm laying there till ungodly hours of the night, just trying to fall asleep, and I'm in
Yeah.
too much pain to do so. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, and I know I'm just glad, like, I was off on vacation this week and I should have been getting so much rest and everything. And
yeah,
then was it the first night you were there? Like, I'd already been up for 30 hours straight.
yeah.
And
That's
I
crazy.
went, like, I didn't get sleep for almost 50 hours because I just couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
Every time, like, I'd doze here and there, but it wasn't sleep, right?
No,
Because it
I
was
know
just
what
too
you
much
mean.
pain.
Yep.
And it's hard, and people don't understand that because they don't
Yeah.
see it, right? Like, because I don't look sick. That's the hardest thing. And it is a struggle. And it ties back to you don't know what people are dealing with.
Yeah.
It's like, just be compassionate, be kind,
Absolutely.
and trust. And that's the big thing, right? You have to trust. Sometimes it can backfire. You trust the wrong people, or you're vulnerable with the wrong person and they take advantage of it. But learn from that. There's a
Yeah.
reason. They
Yeah,
were there
for
to
sure.
teach you something, and you have to take it with a grain of salt and learn.
Yeah.
But as individuals, we need to learn to trust people, that when they open up to us, it's hard, especially when you've had people who have opened up to you for the wrong reasons, and they have taken advantage of situations and they've done it to manipulate. But it's you have to learn to trust people,
Yeah.
and just be open to trusting your gut when something feels wrong.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like, when that backfires, like, I think, like, the negative side of that is bound to reveal itself at some point. And I think just, being able to say to yourself, like, okay, like, I can handle this when I get there, like, don't let the fear of that hold you back. Right. Like, and more importantly, I think, just be, like, true to yourself, and don't let those kinds of experiences kind of dictate how you're going to approach
Yeah.
it. Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing,
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So anything new and exciting for you that you want to try and take on next, other than school and whatnot?
Well, I mean, you brought to my attention the other night
Oh, yes.
possibility of the wellness coaching or
Yeah.
whatever. I'm very, like, I have very limited knowledge on that.
Yeah,
So bear with me. But yeah, I think that's a great idea, and something that I certainly hope to look into and
Yeah.
hopefully pursue. I think that's kind of, along with the counseling or anything of that nature. I think that's really
Yeah.
where I'm supposed to be. That's where I hope to be. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that was nice to hear the other night, really, and I really sat up and thought about that for a while after
Oh.
you said it. So,
Very nice.
so who knows? Maybe that. I'm still trying to get my hot sauce off the ground and
That's
and
right.
running.
Yes,
So
that's right.
yeah, that's a little
Side project.
side
Yeah.
project. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
quite
no,
fun.
that's good.
So,
That is really
yeah.
good. Yeah, and I think that's something, like, tying into the idea of wellness coaching, or even like, I can so see you talking to, like, a group of athletes, like a young group of young kids who are,
Yeah.
and talking about some of those struggles and the pressures they feel, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think there's great opportunity for you, and I'm glad it resonated, because
Yeah.
yeah, there are certain things that, like, certain things we'll start talking. I'm like, oh, you'd be so good at this.
I appreciate that. Yeah, yeah. I would love to do that. Like, I think I
Yeah.
think the pressure is inevitable, but just having, maybe the right person to listen to,
Yeah. Yeah. No,
how
absolutely.
it's impacting you could be very helpful.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Any closing words or anything else that you wanted to share, or?
We are so gonna have to edit this part.
We don't have to edit anything. This is unscripted. It's all natural. It's just, like I said, we just keep talking.
Yeah. What do I say we haven't covered?
I know we covered a lot. Like, that's, there was a lot that we talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I already said it, but just don't be afraid to be vulnerable, it's okay to go through struggles. We all do. It's bound to happen at some point. So just, being able to be honest about that and and stay true to yourself, I think there's a lot of strength there. And I think, unfortunately, like, it goes untapped for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And, so just take it as it comes and,
No, that's great.
fight the good fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I've only known you for the 5.5 years, I guess, that I've been with your dad, kind of thing, right? But even in that time, I've seen you grow and change and learn and whatnot. So super proud and excited, and can't wait to celebrate the wedding in August and have everybody there. It'll be lots of fun, and
Looking forward to it.
see what the future holds and all that fun, exciting
Absolutely.
stuff. So thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. Like, I'm sure we're going to get lots of comments and everything from people when this comes out. And anything, hopefully, I'm hoping to do some other live sessions and whatnot. So hopefully we'll have you back and
Absolutely.
having you do some events with us later on as we go through this. But thank you for sharing your unscripted story. And just tying into what we talked about throughout the day, it's okay to not be okay. Your illness does not
Absolutely.
define who you are. You are your own person, and you are important, and you are valuable, and you are worth the investment. Whether you're talking to a therapist, whether you're talking to a family friend, whether you're talking to a complete stranger, it doesn't matter. Just keep talking. Ask for that help. Be vulnerable. Be open. Be honest with yourself. It's hard. We don't see what's happening to us. We don't always understand what we're going through. I hope that this episode gave you something new to look at, give you a different twist, a different lens, to realize that you're not alone, that you are, just like everybody else, just with a different twist. You have your own story, right? Everybody's script is a little different. We're not all in the same movie because life is not a movie. And we have to go through those, and we have to uncover the best way to move forward. Therapy is not a bad word. Getting help is not a bad thing. Being vulnerable, being open, being honest with yourself, and just accepting that you are worth it and you are enough. So if you do need assistance, please do reach out to a family, a friend, a loved one. You can call medical assistance. There are numbers online that you can find. There are chat systems that are available. But please do find somebody to talk to, because you are just as important to somebody and to yourself and to everybody else. And you never know who you can influence in the future and who you might give some great words of wisdom to. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you are enjoying 50s Unscripted. Be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can also listen to the podcasts on various streaming services, so Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. You can read articles on Substack, and there are a whole bunch of articles now. I share a weekly thought, as well as a weekly subscription piece, and come along on the journey as I share stories about the wedding as well, because we'll have the Encore Wedding Diaries there too. And stay tuned for some resources, because based on this and based on the things, I'm going to be sharing more about the stuff that I've learned, things that people have shared with me in the podcasts and what they've done. So there'll be lots of resources to help you along the way as well. Have a wonderful time, a day, night, evening, weekend, whatever time it is that you're watching this video. And whatever you do, be kind, be strong, be you. And we'll see you next time.